From here on out, every foul is flagrant, boy. Let's go. What's up?
You are now tuned into the chat room, your favorite baller's favorite podcast.
All right, welcome back to the Chatroom Podcast. Yes, I am the senator, and with me today I got Coach.
What you do?
I got Essay.
Yes, sir.
And honestly, I kind of dropped saying what episode it is because ever since we took that break, I don't remember what episode we're on. So it's just the Chatroom Podcast Season 3 episode da-da-da-da-da. You saw it. You saw it in the title. Like, but with us today, we got some professionals with us.
Sure.
You
and
do. Yes,
not just some professionals, but they're actually really good at podcasting too. So they got their own.
Thank you.
They got their own podcast out right now. It's called Cure the Culture.
Mm-hmm.
We were speaking before we hit the record button, and I said I went back and I listened to one, and I'm going to go back and listen to the rest in a little bit too. But we got Eboni and we got Nia. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great.
Doing well. How are you?
Thank you for asking.
Good.
We're good. Football's on. Football's
Actually, you know what? Actually, no, stop.
No, Coach is real good.
Yeah, I'm pissed. Actually, like now that I think about it, like the Bengals are in the Super Bowl. Like I'm pissed. Like I would rather any other team than the NFC North team to make it. But
you mean AFC?
AFC North. Sorry, AFC North team make it. But
Mahomes messed that one up.
Yeah,
that was a $500 million fumble.
I mean, the fumble didn't really matter because they got the ball back and they kicked.
No, the whole game. I meant the whole game.
Oh, yeah.
Like he had an 18-point lead. He had the last drive of the game with first and goal and plenty of time
of OT.
Yep, and because he got the coin toss. Usually, when Mahomes wins the coin toss, he wins the game. But
look at the last game with Bill.
Yeah, gentlemen. I just said football is on. We weren't supposed to go do a whole deep dive on what just happened.
I haven't been on a few.
I was thinking I was on ESPN. I was like, whoa.
Catch me up. This is free TV.
Yeah,
there you go. There we go.
I felt like I had to be Molly for a second and interrupt.
Whoa, moderators, you chose Molly.
She is. Man, we're not getting into this.
Don't get me started on Molly.
I
ain't talking about the drug.
But all right, let's get into a couple of quick check-in questions, and then, ladies, we're gonna discuss your profession and your podcast, and then we'll wrap it up with some other quick questions.
Cool.
So, first one, COVID has been going on since March 2020 in North America,
and the rest of the world.
Well, it hit the rest of the world a little bit earlier. Some places a little bit earlier. But I would say like the official kind of like shutdown that everyone says was like that March 2020.
Yeah.
Became a pandemic officially in March.
Yeah. Sure. So let's say that wasn't happening. Where would you want to travel right now?
Oh, good question.
I already know, Eboni.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh, well, then you go first.
We would be in Greece. Of course.
Oh, yeah, we would.
I think we would be in Greece on a yacht somewhere. I heard Greece is like fairly a racist country. I don't know if anybody from Greece is listening.
But we like Greek food.
But we love Greek food, and that's not stopping us from going. So me and Eboni had this whole vacation planned. And then Mexico City. I think we would.
Yeah, I wanted to go to Mexico City for my birthday for the I forget which races. Yeah.
2021 we were supposed to go. So yeah, we would be there. We'd be in Mexico City or Greece for sure.
So racist Greece or Latin America?
Right. Those are the options.
Honestly, I've always said I wanted to go to Greece. So like,
was this pre-Drake record or after?
Come on, man.
Drake
record. Pre.
Okay.
Pre-Drake record.
Coach, I say.
Nah, like for me, like I've always said I wanted to go to Greece. So like, I co-signed with that. But I don't know. Like I want to go to California and go to a Lakers game and Just that, because like I've never been to a Lakers game in Cali. I've been to a Lakers game in Toronto. But that's
same.
on. Yeah, it's not the same. Yeah, it's not the same. That's a bucket list of mine. So that's something that I'd want to do, even with the Lakers being below 500 right now. That's something that I'd want to do. But yeah, like, I can't really think of anywhere else. Like I grew up around Jamaica all the time, so that's not really.
You don't want to go to any country in the world.
Like where? Like I don't know. Like
I don't know.
There's how many countries in the world?
Like
Jamaica's beautiful though. I'm not gonna hold you, Francis.
This is the thing. I love
Jamaica's beautiful. Yeah, it's honestly, you go there. That's not a lot of places that could top that. I've been to a lot of islands. My dad's from Trinidad.
Tell them again.
No, my dad's from Trinidad. I've been to Trinidad a bunch of times, and I love Jamaica.
A Trini gal said she chooses Jamaica. God damn.
Hey, because she knows.
That's what I'm saying.
It's really beautiful.
If you're gonna be real,
she's just tired of it being called bake. She's like, I like the word dumpling. That's the way how it goes.
No, it's definitely baked though. It's definitely baked.
Jamaica is definitely it.
Essay.
All right, mine's gonna be not as boring as Coach's. I'm gonna go to Tokyo.
I said Greece.
Tokyo, the Olympics. We're supposed to be. Yeah.
That's a good one. That's
a great one.
Come for my neck. Why y'all come for my neck for, man? I said I co-signed with Greece. Why you come for my neck for, man?
Yeah, but you gotta come with your own, man. There's like
I don't have my own.
Greece is really beautiful.
Greece is such a good answer.
It's such a good answer.
I agree.
You're gonna eat healthy there. You're not gonna gain any weight.
Whenever I take a road trip down south, I'm trying to
all the
fly
pictures.
to Tokyo.
Whenever I
play Mario
Kart,
Kart
I always
in real
see
life.
the Greece background and the blue water and the white. Whenever I go to Opa, I always see that. So I'm like, that's where I want to go. And Opa is my favorite place to eat, so that's where I want to go.
That's why we want to go to Greece, because of all the places we ate.
Okay.
But yeah, I want to check out the cherry blossoms. I want to do Mario Kart. I want to check out like their advanced technology. You know, and just how life is over there. I'm gonna stay away from the bathhouses because I heard some interesting sites or not.
Ooh.
You know what? When in Japan, when in Tokyo, you know,
the bath.
No judgment.
Don't use a fork. It's all
we're sex positive here.
Yes. Oh, yes, we are. It's just
if there's one person that taught you to
body types, I don't want to see.
If there's one person that taught you to stay away from the bathhouses, Jesse Smollett told you don't go there, so just make sure you're good.
Jesse Smollett.
So
I don't know if we could take anything that he says.
Yeah,
not at all.
For me, like I've done a lot of Caribbean islands, so I think one would be South Africa. I'd want to go to South Africa.
Good answer, Cape Town.
Also, the second place that I would want to go to tell you the truth, is South Korea.
Okay, yeah, Seoul is on my list. Yeah, that's a good one.
Those are my two. Even though right now I'm currently planning a trip to go back to Mexico, but after that, I'm telling you, I'm going somewhere out there.
Those are good answers.
One of the reasons why I couldn't say the Caribbean, because most of the Caribbean looks the same to me. Like I've been to DR and Costa Rica and Jamaica. Like they look not like in some places. Like I remember vividly driving down like Costa Rica. I'm like, yo, this man's
in shovel mode right now.
And then I remember being in the DR. I remember we were in DR. I'm like, yo, this reminds me of Jamaica. Like a lot of places, like.
Yeah, but
I
mean, DR had the Mama Juana though, so
Mama Juana is tough.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would say they all look the same, but
not they all the same. I didn't say all the same, but like they remind, like they're very, very similar. So like
it's all Caribbean. It's all tropical.
Yeah, and like I went to St. Lucia, and it was the same thing. Like
I want to go there.
The only thing about St. Lucia that caught me off guard was that like the dialect. It's like what is it? Not French. Creole.
Is it Creole?
Like Creole. Yeah.
Which is French.
So like, So that's the only thing that like caught me off guard.
Yeah, I had to make sure you knew that was still French.
Like I know it's like
since you think the whole Caribbean looks the same, I gotta educate.
I know I said French. I know it's like French, but I'm saying like a different.
Yeah, I know Creole is different.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah.
I'm saying
different.
I'm saying it's different.
See, we're all picking on Chief today.
Yeah. Y'all try to come at me.
We're just jealous because you've got the Hennessy. That's all.
The Hennessy.
That is really it.
Yeah, you should have showed that at the start.
Hey, man, you can see my face, right? You can see my face.
I can see your face.
I'm late.
We're doing a test right now.
All right.
one last thing too.
Yeah.
I might have to go on a scouting trip to Bali because
I heard Bali's dead right now though. Like this is probably the best. No, seriously, there's like no tourists there.
No, I think Essay's trying to find Russell Simmons.
No, it's a potential wedding destination.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
For a little scouting report.
Yeah.
That's a nice spot.
That's far though, brother.
Huh?
If you're gonna go, you're gonna go. You can't make
I'm
it.
fully aware.
It's because he knows that he's not inviting anyone from the chat room.
Nobody's coming. Nobody's coming. It's gonna be
Me and Ebony will be there.
Destination weddings cut down on the prices in other ways. I'm telling you.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And the drama.
We might just get
It's
the
okay
live.
if you can't come.
We might just get the live stream link. That's
We have
it.
to do like making a pod
It's the way your checking is set up. Your checking account is set up. It's fine. It's totally fine.
Totally okay.
All right, so I got one more question, and then we're gonna jump into getting to know Ebony and Nia a little bit more. So this one here is going to be a little bit more of a tougher question. That first question wasn't as tough. Okay. So here we go. If you could choose one artist catalog to be the theme music of your life, which artist would you choose?
I know what Nia's going to say.
It's easy for me.
I know what I'm going to say.
I think I know what you're going to say.
No, there's no way.
Because I think we're going to say the same thing.
It's easy for me too.
It's not
one artist's whole catalog.
One artist's entire catalog. So that doesn't mean that every song represents your life, but it is
all encompassing. Of what you're
that you relate to.
Anybody who listens to our podcast regularly,
yours is Cartel.
Yeah,
really?
Get it? We're all boss. We get it. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, that's Movado.
Yes. Like, what a mix-up.
Wait, I did it on purpose. I always do that to get Coach riled up.
That's easy for me. Anyway.
Yours is Cartel.
Period. Yeah. That's easy.
All right.
Ebony, Nia, Essay.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and say Kanye West.
Oh,
that's a solid one.
Which one? Okay. Oh, like no, you just have to say it on
the whole catalog. That's why I said I know. Like, who else you gonna pick?
Oh no, I wouldn't go with Kanye, although he has a really close spot
Very
in my
eclectic
heart.
mix.
Even post Trump, I still love me some Kanye.
Right,
Trump gate.
Oh, so if you listen to Donda too, you're saying?
No. I'm like after a beautiful dark twisted fantasy, I've been like I really haven't listened to a lot of his projects.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I still haven't listened to Donda.
I listened to Ye. I listened to Ye actually, and I did like Ye, so that's a lie. But after
Donda wasn't bad, but the only thing I didn't fuck with was just I thought the beginning of the album, my friggin'
the
car was skipping. Yeah, I thought my car was skipping. What's going on? That's the only thing that caught me off guard. Other than that,
I thought he indoctrinated first.
He wants you to feel as crazy as he is.
I legit had to like pause it and like check my phone and see if my Bluetooth was working because I was confused as hell. But yeah, Donda's cool.
I honestly,
I don't know. Who are you gonna pick?
Can someone else go? Can I go last? I know.
Right, you can go last.
I'll buy you some time.
Thank you. Give me like 10 seconds.
Yes, the godson himself, Nasir Jones.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, even his current stuff.
That's a solid choice.
His current stuff is good though. You say even his current stuff. You say even his current stuff.
A lot of people aren't hip. A lot of people are sleeping on his current stuff.
Yeah, they are, man. Like I know some artists can't do current stuff right now.
Yeah,
like Hove, but like Nas's current stuff is like award winning.
Jay-Z is out there making billions of dollars. He don't give a fuck about music.
We talk about music. We ain't talking about musically though. Right now, okay?
He don't give a fuck.
And don't hate on the crypto Scarface.
Hey,
right?
Jay-Z is out there living his life, bringing blue to friggin' LA Rams games. He's making money right now. He don't care about nothing.
I just don't like that. I just don't like that nickname though.
What?
The crypto Scarface. I just don't like that nickname. Like I appreciate the music he's been putting out. I just really hated that nickname. So I'll go next. because we're gonna give Nia a little bit more time.
Still need
Looks like
time.
she's cheating.
I am. I'm like,
she's scrolling through.
She's using a lifeline right now.
all right.
Oh,
all
she
right.
called you
Phoning
out.
a friend.
I know. You see,
Yeah, she
it's so
called
much
me
for
out.
best friends.
Girl,
See?
what
Yeah.
catalog
Under the
describes my
bus.
life?
Calling you under the bus.
Ebony tried to call in to help you already, and you turned that one down. So
I know. Now I'm on my own.
I really did.
So for me, honestly, to tell you the truth, it's gonna sound different, but Mary J.
Oh, I fuck with that.
Mary J is my.
No, that's solid.
Yeah, like
Actually, that's probably the truth.
For you?
Yeah, because like for the catalog of your life, like
yeah, like I
all
think
encompassing music.
I tell people all the time, like one of my favorite albums of all time is Mary J. Share My World. I probably play that album. Even to this point, I probably play it at least once a week. Like I go back to that. Huh?
Over Reasonable Doubt?
Mary J. Share My World is over Reasonable Doubt for me. Reasonable Doubt is second for me, but Share My World is number one.
Disappointment.
You looking as red as my hoodie right now, bro. All right.
It's a competition, but Share My World.
That's a reasonable doubt about your choice. That's what I see Coach doing right now.
I respect the fuck out of that answer.
Yeah, that's dope.
He can, but it's all good. I know what I listen to. So
as long as her acting doesn't represent your life either.
Nah, the acting, the acting doesn't.
She ain't that bad.
She ain't that bad. She has one face for every single expression.
Well,
her sad face, her happy face, her angry face.
I just think I have more types than she does in the show, so it's okay. It works out. But music wise, it's Mary J. Nia.
Idea.
The time's on you now. You use all your lifelines. So what do you have?
I'm gonna go with Frank Ocean.
Okay.
Yeah, because I feel like if I had to describe one person's entire catalog, I feel like all of his catalogs have meant something really important to me at that time. Like I remember growing up with like Nostalgia Ultra, like in high school, like listening to Frank's voice for the first time. And I just feel like it got me through all of college, all of my like masters, all of like relationship shit. There was always like a Frank Ocean song I could listen to, you know, there was always something in there, even when I was feeling like super like, you know, I would either say that or Michael Jackson. Those are going to be like two, Michael Jackson or Frank.
That's a solid backup one.
We know who answered that
would be number one. Yeah.
Yeah, we know who answered that would be for sure.
Coach.
But yeah. So we have
I just have to say first though, I really love your mic setup. Like, can we just fully appreciate like what's going on here? Like, I need that, Ebony.
I do too.
It took a long time for me to get here, you know. And I appreciate
he is the admiration. Professional.
Yeah, the pro chatterbox.
Well, we need that. That's how the podcast goes, you know.
Facts. But yeah, we got two of you on. You kind of introduced yourself already, but I would ask if you guys can kind of introduce yourself a little more, who you are, what you do, your podcast. But yeah, just introduce us to who you are.
Go ahead, Eb.
Okay. Well, I'm Ebony Gatson. I am a licensed social worker in the state of New Jersey. I am in private practice, so I do psychotherapy with a lot of different folks. So couples, I see a lot of Princeton University students. I work with sex workers. I've partnered with Pineapple Support to offer free and low cost therapy to sex workers. So that's really fun and cool. Yeah, that's one of the most interesting parts of my job, I would say. And then I'm the co-host of Cure the Culture, which is really fun because we're having some great conversations there. Stuff that, you know, our community as Black people, we need to know about and be talking about, like preventative versus reactive care, just the mental health and physical health connection. It's a great time. Yeah.
And I'm Nia, Nia Phillips. I'm actually a physician assistant. I've been practicing medicine for about 5, almost 6 years now. So I mostly see pediatric patients. That's like my bread and butter. I've always loved pediatrics. I see newborn up to 0 hours old, all the way up until 23. And then I also do see adults. I've been seeing adults for the last 1.5 years since basically, 2 years now since COVID.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because as we all know, COVID-19 kind of shifted medical professionals' practice, and we had to start seeing everybody, even if that's not the field that we prefer.
Mm-hmm.
But I see adults too, and I see everybody. I see them for their routine, their sick visits, for preventative visits, and all the follow-up. So it's a good time. I graduated from Rutgers University. I practiced in New York and New Jersey for most of my career, and now I'm up right near the border in Malone, New York. I practice literally 30 minutes from the Canadian border, and I live in Montreal. So that's me. And I am also co-host of Pure the Culture, which is me and Ebony's like brainchild. It's because we love our community so much, and we feel like there's a lack of Black providers, healthcare providers in general. And we really feel like there's a lot of misinformation, a lot of mistrust. And the only way that we can really bridge that gap is to be Black people speaking about topics that are important, because of the long history between Black and white people, and even other people of color, and the medical, industry, because that's what it is. It's a business. We do feel like, Black people can fall through the cracks, and intentionally and unintentionally. So it's our brainchild to make sure that the things we teach our Black patients and the things we emphasize to our Black patients and all of our patients, it's really out there, and it's easily digestible, and not, somebody just speaking to you in medical jargon. We really try to make it so everyone can understand.
Relatable, understandable.
Yeah. And fun. Like, our guests are really, really fun.
They have personalities.
They all have personalities, as well as many degrees, and they are all super educated, and we interview physicians, we interview researchers, and it's just a really, really good time. And we learn a lot too.
Yeah. You guys ever go through like those old school Caribbean remedies like ginger tea? And all you guys ever like broke that works down?
I don't know if those are old. Those aren't old school remedies. Those
They're not old school.
Yeah, they just worked, like ginger.
I mean, they were passed down to us from our ancestors.
Yeah,
right?
They were. They're for a reason, right? They made it this far for a reason.
Sea moss. Come on, man.
Right.
I believe
we had a doula on that spoke about sea moss and how that helps with
turmeric and
exactly.
Turmeric's a big one.
Turmeric,
So
cayenne pepper.
So we do it all. We do nutrition, all the things. Like, we don't want to just give you like, take this pill or take this vaccine, and like, just do it because that's what someone tells you to do, because there's other ways that you can prevent yourself from getting sick in the first place. And so we really try to emphasize that, because who wants to be at their doctor's office or their hospital, all the time.
Exactly. For sure. That's dope.
So kind of backtracking a little bit, like we kind of dove in a little bit to your professional side, but like, what was your schooling like prior to being a professional? Take us back to like what that experience was like for both of y'all.
Long.
It's just like a very lengthy silence. Like,
crickets. That's what it was.
We both called each other. So me and Ebony, like, context, me and Ebony have been best friends for 13 years.
Yeah,
so,
since high school.
High school. And so that's my sister that you guys are all seeing.
We're family now.
We're family. And we called each other crying on multiple occasions, multiple years. And for me, I mean, Ebony, you can speak to your experience, but for me, I did 4 years of undergrad and 3 years of my master's. And so it was a long time coming, me getting that degree, and it was not easy. And I think it was even harder because I was a Black woman and the only one in my class.
Face some real adversity.
Yeah. So,
crazy.
And so, it was just really eye-opening and not having any advisors that looked like you, like not even a Black male, like not Black female, not having anybody to look like you that could really guide you. I'll never forget. I'll never forget my first opportunity in science was as my zoologist professor, who was a Black woman. And she was actually the head of the Department of Biology. And I remember she was the reason I got into PA school. Like, she was the one who was like, I'm going to write you this letter. You're gonna come in, you're gonna be a TA for me. Like anything I asked her for, she literally was like, yes. And I don't know if I felt more comfortable asking her because she was a Black woman, or if it was just she had an approachability
she was
that
actually
was like
safe enough.
She was, because in a lot of the places in college, there was not a lot of safe places. There was a lot of naysayers and you can't do this and it's too hard and not a lot of people get in. So I think that it was hard. I don't know, Eb, what would you say?
I had a very different experience, and I think it's because I had so many people of color that were in positions I wanted to be in. So when I did my undergrad at St. John's University in Queens, and there's a lot of Black faculty at St. John's. So my advisor was a Black woman with a PhD who also did private practice. And so like I had a model right then and there of like what I could do. And she wrote my letters of recommendation for graduate school. But I also like had opportunities in the field. So I could kind of figure out early, like, oh, I don't want to do that. Oh, I do want to do that. Yeah. Like I learned by my sophomore year at St. John's that I didn't want to do school psychology, for example, because I was able to like get out there and get in it. And that would be my advice for anybody that's like trying to contemplate a career. You're going to be in school for a minute, so you might as well get some experiential like knowledge. So I think that was different. Then I did USC for grad school, which was great because I did my program online. So I was able to work and get my master's, which was kind of isolating. Like, I feel like I'm not as connected to the other Trojans as I'd like to be. But I got my degree in a year and a half. So it's like, it was an accelerated master's program. And so I feel like that gave me a lot of support to just get out there and do the thing because I didn't have to stop while I was already working in the field.
Makes sense.
That's crazy.
So it's an interesting how you guys both had different paths and
different path, the same place.
Well, medicine is like notoriously like Eboni and you know, mental health is a part of medicine, but I do think
it's part of healthcare.
It's part of healthcare. But it is more diverse. And we've even had people with their PhDs say it's more diverse as far as LGBTQ representation and I'm not saying that there can't be things that we need to still do more.
Sure.
But mental health seems to be more diverse. Like there are only 5% Black physicians in the United States, and we make up 13% of the overall population. And so there's in health and medicine, there is not a lot of, like, I think our split is about even
in general.
In STEM, engineering, science, research, there's just not a lot of Black people.
So we need y'all.
Yeah.
Whoever's listening and watching.
Whoever is thinking about it. I think both of our recipes were the same though, because that's
my point.
Even though my journey might have been more, I might not have seen as much. I only had one example of an advisor or mentor, and Eboni had many. Like cling on to the people that you do have, you know, that will find yourself a mentor early. Even if that means going into situations that make you feel uncomfortable or vulnerable. Like it was hard for me being the only Black student in my biology class at the time, asking my professor, like after class, like, you know, no one wants to be a suck up, but I was like, no, I'm going to get in where I fit. This woman has her name on the door. Like, I'm not gonna like, she knows way more people than me, you know? So I need to really like introduce myself and really take the time to build that connection.
That's facts. That's how I feel 100%. Like being a coach, there's a lot of white men who coach. In basketball, there's like 85% Black athletes, Black male athletes, Black female athletes. And it was like you look at NFL right now, we're kind of all over the place. Look at NFL right now, there's 75% black men, and there's one NFL coach, right? So representation matters. So I definitely kind of commend you guys for kind of putting your foot forward and being that. But yeah, kind of jumping forward a little bit. So you guys kind of talked about your schooling experience and what that was like for you guys. How did you guys get your foot in the door to like practicing what you guys do right now? Like take our audience from like your graduation dates to right now. Like what was that experience like? How do you guys get your foot in the door?
I have a funny story.
Okay. We love funny stories here.
So I stalked my current supervisor.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I did. I stalked her. I found her online and I just totally she had the career I wanted, right? Mm-hmm. And she was running her own private practice. She was doing trainings for other providers. She had a position at Rutgers at the time, like a faculty position. I was like, oh, I want to work under her so that I could eventually do what she's doing. Yeah. So I set it up where I could do my practicum, which is like your field work, basically, at the last year of my master's. I set it up where I could do that at her practice. And she kind of was like, okay, yeah, I guess. Like she was a one-woman show. And she was like, how did you find out about me? And I was like, Google. but wow, this is like 5 years later. I'm still
and now
working
she
at
runs
that
the whole practice. No, you run that whole practice.
I do run the practice.
She's like the supervisor of HR.
Took over the job.
And she wants to retire and give her this practice because like Eboni is so good at what she does. And she's also just a really great manager too.
So it's, I think it's about diligence and being persistent, seeing something that you literally want and being like, hey, can I work here? Yeah. Like that's really what worked for me. Yeah.
Yeah. And also waiting just for opportunity to fall in your lap.
Yeah. And I think also just like vision boards and like literally that visualizing what you want and actually like every day saying, this is what I want. This is what I deserve. This is, this is the life that I'm destined for. I think that is also super. Eboni has always had like huge picture ideas, which is why I wanted to do a podcast with her because she has like big picture ideas. So she's like, let's not stop here. Let's do the next thing. Let's own our own thing.
Why not? Like Rick Ross.
Yeah.
Exactly.
For me, I think.
Go for it.
I think for me, I would never imagine that I would be living in Montreal, to be honest. There's nothing wrong with Canada. It's just super cold here.
Especially in Montreal.
But New York is cold too, though. Wait, stop.
Yeah,
New York is cold too.
No.
But New York is 19 right now. How cold is it right there right now?
Wait, hold on. We talking Fahrenheit or
Celsius? Yeah, that's Fahrenheit. We got it.
It's 11 degrees here.
Okay.
Yeah. No, but Montreal is specifically very cold. Like Toronto right now is cold, but we're like right on the water. And I feel like it's colder here. We get more snow here. I feel like it's cold. It's like negative 20 on a good day, so in Fahrenheit. So it's cold. I never thought I'd be living in Montreal, but I came here for love. I got married in the middle of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
But from graduation to here, I would say I always knew I wanted to do pediatrics because it was my last rotation. In medicine, we have to rotate through like all the specialties. So like surgery and primary care and OBGYN, and you have to do all the things because like Eboni said, unless you go through it, like you're not going to know what you want to go into. Yeah. Some people think they want to be a neurosurgeon or they want to do,
psych.
Psych. And then they go through that rotation and they're like, hell no. Get me out of here, out of the psych ward. Because I remember I was there, So, and I used to tell everybody like, how are you going to do this? And she's like, I'm not doing inpatient psychology.
I'm not doing inpatient.
Oh, it's different. But I knew like it was my very last clinical rotation. And I was like, oh, I just got to get through 6 weeks of bad crying children, like screaming kids, parents, and I remember doing it in East Orange, New Jersey, which is very Black immigrant population. And that pediatrician was the rock of that community. And I was like, I remember the first kid that ran up to me, and like kids are just so naturally,
genuine,
Chief, you see, like they're naturally trusting and genuine and honest and all the good things I think that humanity should be. And I just fell in love with kids and I wanted to take care of them and their families, because when you're taking care of a child, you're also taking care of the whole family. So that's how I got to where I am doing pediatrics. The move was actually because of COVID, and I needed to be closer to my husband. And I loved practicing in New York City just because of how diverse it was. But now I'm in a mostly rural area, and I think they need healthcare providers so bad that it's like even though I feel like New York City has a lot more people, they have a lot more resources because there's so many practices. There's so many, it's a business. There's so many things. Just like if you were going to talk about tech is always going to be in San Francisco and New York City and all in Toronto. It's always going to be localized in a big city. And then in these rural areas, there's nothing. Like you are the primary care provider and that's it. And if you're not doing it, like no one in the next 50 to 60 miles is going to. So even though I like practicing, you know, is really different in a rural area, I really feel like it's been such an experience because it's forced me to grow beyond like just referring out to a specialist. It's forced me to take on the role of like other people and just learn more and push myself more as a provider.
For sure.
Yeah.
Dope stories.
That's
Yeah,
it.
that's good. No, I mean,
I know you're so quiet, Essay.
No,
I'm just providing the ad libs, you know.
No, I mean, I kind of speaking like I always kind of like look at my life because like I've only done sports. I've only done child and youth rec. I've only done that. So like people always ask me like, yo, why do you do what you do? I'm like, because I've seen what support and good positive males can do for like children and like black children, you know, like being like you guys know like being like from like Toronto, like Toronto is very similar to like many other places in the US.
Yeah, any like, urban area.
Yeah, it's very similar in that regard where like your poverty or your ghetto is like
the wealth inequality that's been there before you were even thought of.
yeah. So being from Scarborough, like I've seen what crime and violence and drugs and all that stuff can do to like the black community, and I've always wanted to be somebody who kind of lent a hand out to children in that regard. So like I kind of definitely connected with you in that for sure.
Yeah. No, coaching teachers.
Yeah.
Anybody who interacts with children, you have no idea. I used to tell people in the grocery store, they're like, why is that kid staring at me? I'm like, they're learning. You have to interact with them. Yeah. When you smile, and the mask thing drives me nuts because like I know it's important, I know it's important, but I just feel like they also have to learn facial expressions. So when you're outside, when you're walking around in the street, make sure you're smiling at children, make sure you're waving at them because that's how they learn.
That's why I said, you know, I'll be curious to see. Yeah. And I'll be curious to see what happens 5 years from now when we do some social science research, because there is so much that's different about these like COVID babies. It's a real actual sensation. So it'll be interesting to see the social dynamics that come out of it.
I'm so like I'm so fucking like nervous and scared to raise my daughter in this. Like
now,
like she's just over 2 now. She was born like at the peak of like pandemic stuff. Yeah. And literally like Senator, like he knows my daughter and stuff. And like she literally has like no kids her age that she knows.
She's not getting the socialization.
Nothing. Right. Like literally like she's been on the earth for almost 2.5 years, and she has met maybe 2 or 3 other babies. That's crazy. You know what I mean? And like even now, like I'm trying to figure out like how I'm gonna get her into like daycare and all that stuff. And like it's crazy. Like this pandemic has really changed everything.
It has.
You know, changed everything. But we're gonna get off that.
Heavy. It's true. It's true though. It's
because we could talk about it all day. It's
all day.
Yeah.
It's crazy. All right. So kind of going a little like deeper into like your story, like you guys being 2 women of color, being in the medical field and that profession. What roadblocks have you guys faced over your career, whether it be like in schooling or as a professional? Like what roadblocks do you guys, because like we always hear that like, well, I know us on the podcast, we always talk about like Black women are like the most hated people in the world. Like, you know what I mean?
Most like, hated on.
Most hated on people in the world, right? So like abandoned everything. And like so like kind of speaking from that, like what have you guys faced?
Tell us all.
Take it first. Yeah, I was gonna say there's a lot to be spilled, but
I mean, not for me. I drink Henny.
You can spill some of that.
Are you getting a bag from Henny? Is that what's going on?
I know. What is this?
I'm not
promoting this.
Henny.
They need a sponsor, y'all.
You know what? I might as well kind of
Not
throw
a
it out
bad
there
idea.
to see what happens, you know?
All right, Coach Vanna White. Let's go.
Listen, I'm tired you call me white women, okay? It was Kim Kardashian. Now it's fucking Vanna White. Cut it out,
Hey,
bro.
you're the one who brings it up. I'm just gonna name
All right,
bro.
Dolly Parton, relax over there.
Just all random white women.
All right,
Eddie White and shit.
All right, Coach. I was about to hit you with that.
Jessica Simpson, Brittany, free Brittany.
Shout out Brittany, man. Shout out Brittany.
Yeah, shout out to her. That's a whole nother discussion.
Yeah.
I love me
sure.
some Brittany. I love me Brittany, man. Shout out Brittany.
Oh, we love Brittany too, but okay.
Yeah, free her.
Yeah. I think personally, I mean, I could really get into it, but I think that the thing that I think discouraged me the most and almost made me quit medicine entirely was during my master's program, which was 3 years. I was actually kicked out of my program for something that was like not responding to an email. And I was at that time doing nights at NYU Hospital at Cornell.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was up all night and then sleeping during the day. And this, I think my rotation at that time was 2 months. And so there was a lot of miscommunication between me and my advisor. I'd had 3 advisors, not on my own, not because of my own choosing, just 2 of the other advisors had decided to leave the program at the time. And so I had fallen into this new advisor and I did not connect with her. She was a white woman. She was younger. She had only been in practice, I think, for 2 or 3 years, which is not a lot of time. I tend to believe that if you're going to teach, that you really need to have a lot of clinical experience before you begin to teach the next generation. But that being said, you can't choose it is what it is. I ended up being her advice. I was the one being advised. And I felt like from the minute I met her, she just had it out for me. And I've never really had that feeling before because I'm genuinely a really pleasant person. I'm feisty, but I'm genuinely pleasant. And she really made it her mission to get me kicked out of the school. And I knew people that weren't answering their emails because we're working, when you're on clinical rotations, you're expected to carry your caseload. You're expected to present on your patients. You're expected to round on your patients with the attendings. You're then expected to do coursework that, your school is giving you for documenting all these encounters and making sure that you're learning the things you need to learn out of the clinical rotation. And this was an elective for me because I thought I was going to do internal medicine. And so this was like my 3rd internal medicine, it was an elective. I had already done it twice. And so there was
it wasn't that big of a deal.
No, the bottom line, she iced me and she had me reviewed and everybody in the class was like, I cannot believe this is happening to you. And there was one other Black girl that was in a year ahead of me. And she was like, I can, because this is how, this is how it is for us, as Black women and as Black people. They have a long history of just not having. There was one Black male in the 3rd class, the class that was about to graduate. They just had a long history of just. It's very well known in medicine. They don't want Black people to become doctors. They don't want us to be
because then we'll fix everything.
Exactly.
So that was it was a horrible experience. I had to really fight for my life, fight for my career. I had to go in front of a review board. I had my family came with me. It was a really big prolonged thing. And I didn't get to graduate with my class, which still makes me upset till this day. And it was traumatizing. That's the word I would use. It was
most
traumatizing.
Overall.
Yeah. And so I never took that taught me a valuable. But
that word is the descriptive word for Black families across this nation.
Black trauma.
Trauma. That is
I've always had a really amazing childhood and upbringing, and I've always been very independent, very much a go-getter, very much what I want is what I'm going to get out of life. And this was the first time that over a very simple thing that could have been talked about. And it's not like I had a bunch of run-ins with, this committee or the people who were in charge of us. It was just something, it was and I remember being like, well, I'm not going to be able to do what I want. I'm not going to be able to see patients. My mom was like, God gave you this power. God gave you this purpose. And you're not going to let some person take it away from you. Like you're going to fight for it because think of all the, she's like, this is, how Black women are. Like, this is the devil, and if you let the devil win, then and God knows how many people and how many God knows how many families you're gonna I can't even tell you. I see about 2,000 people a year. Like how many people have I helped since then in 5 years?
There you go.
And so it's like you're gonna, my mom was like, you're not gonna let her tell you what you can and you cannot do
her.
Exactly. So I did. Fuck her.
Say it loud. Get behind me, Satan.
I feel like Kanye and that, like the intro to that song.
That's a very Kanye moment.
But really, it was like fuck her, and but it taught me a lot about resilience, and it taught me a lot about like you actually don't need anybody. You could really. No one's going to take anything away from me. I'm like a pit bull. I think from that moment, if I sink my teeth in, like no one's going to take something away from me. So it just taught me that. I learned a lot from it, but that I think was like the worst thing. I was out of school for 6 months, like had to find a job and like just wanting to go back to school. Like I just wanted, and I think Ebony, I had 2 months until I graduated.
Yeah, you were almost done. So that was annoying. So I wanted to go to the office.
So it was just really traumatizing, but
congrats on breaking through that.
Thank you.
I gotta say, shout out to you two because I fucking hated school.
There's very few people who love school.
I fucking hated school. Like only thing I liked about school was the camaraderie, and I got the hoop.
Right, the social aspect.
That's it. Other than that, I fucking hated it, man. Like, so to hear two people say that they did a long time of school, like that's crazy to me. Like me, take extra school? Hell no.
Well, I think
the thing they don't tell you,
coach.
The thing they don't tell you the thing they don't tell you is school is interesting after like grad school. That's when you actually start learning stuff you want to learn.
Okay.
So they save all the interesting part till after you went to school for like 12 years.
Yeah.
Like
I'm still in school.
You work for a school, bro.
Listen, shout out to the college. I appreciate y'all for employing me. Thank you.
I ain't taking none of y'all damn classes. I'll tell you
Thank y'all. Hey, it's been a great 4-year ride. I appreciate y'all. Hopefully go further, but just
let you know I'm bleeping that. But
Don't listen to the man with the Hennessy in his hand.
Exactly. I know. Listen,
don't worry, they're not going to hear that.
Started like
each time he said it, it's getting bleeped. I already marked the time down.
Oh, there's Henny in his veins right now. How about you, Ebony? What Roadblocks?
Right. So I think 2 things. One, I would say when I first went into private practice, so I had a unique career trajectory in that from undergrad, I went into the field. So I was working like some agency work. I was a residential counselor in some group homes. I don't know if people are familiar with that kind of work looks like, but you're essentially administering medication and progress notes. So I was doing that for a couple of years. And then when I finished grad school, I continued working in the private practice that I had stalked in. We did that whole story. So now that I'm working there was a few other places that I would work. And I think one of the biggest barriers was like having people just honor my rate. Like I felt like this constant need to battle for my value. And I started off in Princeton, New Jersey. That has a very elitist like edge to it where you can justify charging more. And especially as a Black woman, because now you're a rare commodity and people need your services. And actually, in order for me to make my services more equitable to the people that access to care is an issue for, I need my rate to be higher in order to have those sliding scale clients. So it felt really disrespectful for me to have to constantly like fight with people over my rate.
Prove yourself and
and justify how many trainings and certifications I have and I've done. But my current supervisor, Tracy Post, is amazing. I feel like she's the only person that's really, if anything, told me I'm worth more than what I felt like I should have charged in the beginning. So that has definitely shifted a lot of that dynamic for me. But right now, I'm currently going through some adversity with the board. And I don't even know that I can blame that totally on race, but it's a culmination of a few things. So this is where like intersectionality comes in. So the pandemic, like, I don't know if they just stopped going to work for a couple of years, but seems like that's what happened.
I'm getting tickets, Ebony, from like the state from like 2018. And I'm like, are you
It's
serious?
a joke. It's an actual joke. And I'm like, who are the essential workers? Because I thought all y'all were
supposed to be working. Yeah.
So anyway, that's like the biggest thing that I'm dealing with. And it's actually posing an access to healthcare issue, because if I can't get my next licensure up, then I can't transfer my license to other states. So now I have clients that are like graduating, for example, and they're going off to college. They would like to continue with their therapist. Too bad, so sad, because now I'm not licensed there.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Or couples I have that, you know, we've been working around their erectile dysfunction. That's really intimate and personal. Now you're moving and you don't want to meet a new therapist and go through that all over again. But you have to, because the board's not at work. So those are the things that I'm kind of have dealt with and am dealing with.
It's very annoying and infuriating to hear those roadblocks, but it's also a bit encouraging because I know we asked as women of color, but even just as Black people of color, it's like it's to hear other people go through similar experiences. Because when I was working in a office, the only full Black person there, it's like every little thing you do, like you in an email, for me, I rolled my eyes, and it wasn't even with my director.
Wasn't even with you didn't even suck your teeth that time.
No, I just rolled my eyes at a vendor trying to cheat the company, and it kept
rightfully so.
But it kept getting tagged to me doing it to a task that was given to me from a senior executive.
Oh, wow.
And then it's like I had like 3 or 4 or 5 consecutive meetings on me rolling my eyes and my body language in a marketing office of all places. So to be under a microscope and to have to break through walls twice as thick as everybody else, you know, it's annoying to hear it still goes on, but it's also encouraging that you're not the only one in that fight, and to see examples of people breaking through those barriers with flying colors, you know. So respects to you guys for sure.
No, I think that's such a powerful thing, and thank you for sharing that essay, because I feel like it doesn't matter. You don't have to be in medicine, but it just kills people in medicine. You know,
like someone can die.
Someone can die. People do die. You know, and if we talk about Black life, like life expectancy for children, women, and men, it's just lower in the United States and in Canada. And just in 2019 to 2020, through the pandemic, it's actually decreased 3 years. So that's just, you know, like, these are facts that, like, I don't take it lightly that someone was trying to prevent me from, you know, someone was trying to get you fired for doing, you know, for reacting in a way that everybody would have reacted.
A natural human reaction.
You know, a natural human reaction. Like, you know how many white girls have rolled their eyes at me in front of their supervisor, you know, who have literally told me, like, well, I am, you know, like, you know, the attitude that I've gotten for just being in a store, you know, it's like a store that I can pay for things out from, you know, the attitude that I get from clientele there. And, you know, you get reprimanded for rolling your eyes. And it's like, it speaks to me in such a high level, because it's everywhere. It's everywhere. And in the United States, it's even more amplified, especially with the past president and the racial reckoning.
Yes.
Which I don't know if I even believe in that term, but yeah, the racial reckoning that's coming in the United States, I think it's just, I don't even think we've hit the tip of the iceberg. I think white people are going to have to really understand that they're going to have to do a lot of things, or there's just going to be more terror. And I hate to sound like Malcolm X, but this is things that have been going for 350, 400 plus years.
Are tired.
You know? Yeah, I'm tired. And just how you feel with 3 years of the pandemic, how have we felt for the last, since we've been born, you know, we're tired. I'm tired.
That's it.
That's it. On God. On God, I'm tired.
And that's a perfect segue to our next.
All my life.
All my life. That's a fact.
Literally, though.
Well,
literally.
Yeah.
Generationally.
Yeah.
But, let's talk about like some of the biases that you guys have experienced yourself as professionals, and how you've seen other professionals of color and patients of color as well just go through in the medical field.
You know, surprises me that patients of color actually sometimes prefer a provider that is not of color. I think sometimes our own community has a stigma about who is going to provide quality care. And that's really scary, because the best person to, especially in a therapeutic setting, if we're talking about dealing with your psyche, you need someone with lived experience in order to be able to resonate with you and join you in that emotion. How are you going to explain something like a microaggression to someone if they don't even know what it's like to live in a Black body? So I think that's one thing that I can definitely say I've noticed.
I feel like, there's just a lot of things that I feel like in medicine, I could go on for hours in the States, like I wrote a couple of things down here just because I knew we were going to have this conversation. And like, because I think this is like a call to action. Like, people actually need to understand when you go to the emergency room, you're less likely to be treated for pain, even if it's a surgical emergency, because you're Black. You're more likely to wait 20 more minutes longer than a white person because you're Black. 20 minutes is a long time. 20 minutes is a difference. 5 minutes, a minute.
Severe pain.
Yeah. You're more likely to be underinsured or have no insurance if you're Black, because of there's a lot of these things are tied to our race, but also because of like redlining and just wealth inequalities that have been established because of systemic racism, because of no fault of your own, because you were born in the place that you were born in, and you have the skin that you have. You're less likely to have access to any physician who can provide primary care, 25% less likely to have access to just someone who you would see as your general doctor or your GP. I talk about maternal mortality, especially in Black women, because I think it's something that's so horrible. We're 3 to 4% more likely to die from childbirth. And infants are more likely to be born preterm and also to die. And there are things that we can do. Like I said, only 5% of physicians are even people who are practicing who are not physicians are people of color. And I feel like these are things, like Ebony said, the only way to address it is to put more of us in positions where we can do the job that other people are failing to do. And that's just it. Like,
no one cares for your people like your people.
No one cares about us like we do. And it's even in the data, because when we do become physicians, we're more likely to practice in areas where there are Black people and Indigenous people and minorities, people of color. So I really need, even with COVID, if you think about COVID, we're more likely to be hospitalized, more likely to die, more likely to have long COVID effects. And I just think these are things that people just generally don't know. And I think if they did know, they would approach their medical care a little bit differently and choose their providers if they are able to, if they have the power within themselves, or just the
access.
Thank you, Eb. Too, they would choose their providers a lot carefully. I am very selective about who I will see.
I'm choosy AF. I'm choosy like it's someone I'm dating.
No, it's
that's key too. People you're dating, because it's a crazy world out there.
That comment brings something like I never thought about it, but like you guys being medical professionals, who do y'all go to when y'all need help?
Yeah, I'm very choosy. Yeah, I'm a therapist who sees a therapist.
Yeah,
and I wouldn't recommend you go to a therapist that doesn't see a therapist.
Yeah, and I think that
it's like going to a basketball player that doesn't practice.
What are we doing? You
have to be able to be good with your own mind too, right?
A good author also reads.
Yeah. Exactly. Talking about practice. Talking about practice. Somebody being Ebony say that all the time. I was like, talk about email. She's talking about practice. Like, what are we even talking about here? There's just so many roadblocks to people to get just like, the things they need to survive, their medication refilled. their medication prescribed, their diagnosis is correct. There's so many things. And I think that when I went through medicals, through PA school, which is medical school combined into 3 years, I remember just being like, there's so many things I will never see differently. And like the relationship I have with my provider is one of them. If you have no one taking care of your body that you trust, I highly encourage you to find that person in your mind, find the person who's going to take care of your mind and your body and trust them wholeheartedly, because those are things you don't want messed with,
For sure.
Well, that's a great way to go into our next question, because you spoke a bit about just how some of the ways people can advocate for themselves when seeking medical assistance, demand physicians and medical professionals that look like you, that can understand your lived experience beyond your ailment. So what are other ways that you guys think people of color can advocate for themselves when they're
so I actually work with a lot of clients on medical trauma, because unfortunately that's something that not only do people of color experience, but I'll unfortunately say a lot of people experience, because our healthcare system leaves a lot to be desired. And to find a provider that's really passionate about providing is like few and far between, unfortunately. So I feel like one of the best courses of action is to empower yourself with information. Go in the appointment knowing what you want to cover, having some kind of plan of action. I actually have a whole notes section dedicated specifically for therapy and going to see my doctor. And if I'm going to see a specialist, then here goes another note, because I need to go in there feeling like, oh, I didn't forget to say that thing, or I didn't forget to ask for refills, or that empowers you. And then, providers appreciate when you come in saying like, oh, I'd like to make sure we cover these today. It helps them organize their time. So I think sometimes patients feel like they're burdening us by being more using their agency that way. That makes our job a lot easier.
Completely agreed.
So that's just one of the few things. Yeah.
When moms come in and they have a list, like first time moms that have been doing this for a long time, and they come in with a list, I'm like, thank you, because there are so many things that as I'm leaving, I want to be like, come back into the room, because it's impossible. I mean, in the United States, it's a business. Healthcare is literally a business. Yeah. Okay. So
Ontario too.
25 to 30 minutes. If it's a new visit, to sit down and talk to you about 25 to 30 minutes. If it's a new visit,
that's a joke.
If it's a routine visit, I have 15 to 20 minutes. So everything is scheduled in that way. And so like Eboni is saying, do your research. Everybody gets mad about Dr. Google. I never get mad, because sometimes patients tell me things and I'm like, you know what? Let me look into that, or let me just refer. Based off of what I know about a differential diagnosis, I can help you put that on the top of your list and something that we really should be looking at, or that's really outlandish and you don't have brain cancer, So I also think like knowing your family history is super important, because I think that especially as Black people, like we don't, especially in the United States, we don't always have the knowledge of what our grandparents had or what our great parents had.
Right.
And a best way to advocate for yourself is to know your body, know your health, but know your family's health, because all that stuff is so important. Like there's literally algorithms. If you tell me that your mom has diabetes or had diabetes when she was pregnant, that I can go down. And if you never disclose that information to me about a cancer or prostate, breast, if you don't disclose it, even though the nurse should be going over with you, it's probably, or you just don't know, and you say, I chalk it up to, I don't know, then it's something that could really affect your life. And by the time we do have this conversation, we're stage 3, and, we have to really be proactive instead of reactive. So knowing your health and your health history is really important. And I think another thing I would say that Dr. Keisha Bentley had talked about is you don't always have to, as Black people, like be your own advocate. In times of vulnerability, especially when you're sick, you need someone there that you trust, that you can call a friend, a family, someone on your HIPAA, which is like our health disclosure, someone who can actually advocate for you. Like I will never go to the emergency room by myself as a Black woman again. I will take my husband, I will take my husband's mom, but someone as a Black woman, even as a person who practices medicine, if I'm in pain, I'm never going to the emergency room by myself. Because I've done it even after being in practice for 5 years, and I get ignored.
Yeah.
So like, you know, you just have to realize the system was never set up for you to succeed. And the minute you realize that, in the same principles in life, in money, in finance, in home, when you realize that about medicine, you should have the same precautions how you do around the police that you do around your healthcare providers. And that's really the best way for me to like, that's like really true though. Cause I think that like once we start like getting off cops a little bit, which we should keep that pressure on, we're going to have a different discussion about medicine. Yeah. And when that discussion comes about, I want y'all to know that I was the first one to
first from Nia Phillips.
Some grimy stuff going on.
It's some shit going down.
Yeah, we the next WikiLeaks.
Yeah, I'm telling you, they're gonna capture me if y'all see me in jail. It's for something ridiculous.
Yeah, don't let them do her like they did Dr. Sebi.
But my podcast is still gonna be out there, you know, on period. And so Ebony, we're all gonna. That's why you have to listen to our podcast. And I really think it really delves into like the things that we see every day that is alarming, you know, truly alarming.
Yeah.
So with that being said, then what would you say are the biggest medical issues that we face as people of color right now? And what do you think would be the right moves to make to kind of break out of that?
Cortisol. No, go ahead.
I think we're failing because of wealth inequality.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the things have been predestined, you know, like there's a reason there's a McDonald's and a Burger King and a liquor store. And like, there's a reason why all that stuff is in our neighborhoods and not in nice neighborhoods, you know? So I think that the best
accessible
on purpose, there's, you know, it's
on the
very,
bus route.
very intentional.
I don't see no fresh.
No, exactly.
I don't see no Whole Foods.
No Whole Foods. Yeah. So I think you have to, I think if the question is, what is the biggest thing that we're failing? I think we have to take ownership for the fact that even though the system was never set up for us to succeed, we're still responsible for our health. So we still have to be making conscious decisions, even though it's harder for us to do it, to take responsibility for our health. So obesity, high blood pressure, not taking care of our mental health the way we should be, not respecting our bodies the way we really should be, not practicing safe sex, not educating our youth about sex, making sex a taboo topic in general. There's a lot of things drug use, there's and the normalization of drug use and media, like the media, what our media specifically chooses to show our kids and to have as examples. You know, everybody likes the fun. I love, you know, these rappers as much as the next, but I think at the same time, I don't know if they're the best role models, and I don't know if they're the best people that we should be aspiring to, athletes, etc. So I think there's just going to be a lot of rehabilitation that we have to do within our own selves before we can even start addressing.
We got to heal.
Yeah.
And I feel like one of the main issues is generational trauma. So a lot of even the body-based stuff that Nia's speaking to, they stem from trauma. A lot of these unhealthy, maladaptive coping skills that we have as a community all lead to things like high blood pressure, diabetes,
liver disease, cancer.
Right. Like I was joking when I said cortisol, but I wasn't joking when I said cortisol. Like the stress is killing us very literally. And
how we're dealing with stress, Ebony.
Right. It's the coping skills. That's what I'm saying. Our maladaptive coping skills are not allowing us to.
Crazy. I was saying like in my day job, like I work with like child and youth who have been like abused and like their maladaptive coping behaviors and all that stuff, and like to step back and look at it like as a whole, as a Black community, like it's like we're very realistically going through trauma.
Yes.
All the time.
Yeah. All the time.
Over and over and over again. Like we
constant fight flight.
Every time you get up. Get up.
We go through it in our communities and we go through it in our households, and then we look on the TV and we see our rappers rapping about it. And like it's like it's a never ending cycle of trauma and maladaptive coping behaviors, and like it's crazy when you like step back and look at it.
Yeah.
And then white people profit off of it. So pharmaceutical industry,
Right.
Period.
all of the dialysis treatment centers, all of the cancer research,
record
all of
companies,
the businesses, the fast food businesses, the
Social media
liquor
companies.
stores, the marijuana store, like, now who is all that stuff owned by? And that's why I laugh when
even sports, like sports.
Like, you just talked about it.
Sports. Like, it's crazy. Like,
you think it's not intentional that they don't have a lot of black coaches? That's very intentional, know.
Sure.
So yeah. We're getting into it today, huh?
That's how we do in the chat room. But yeah, it one thing is us breaking that cycle, right? Coach, you're a father. You guys, you're married, so you have a couple, and you guys, as women of color in the positions you're in, is already breaking that cycle. Like you Nia may not have had many role models, but now you can be one of those role models. You can be one of those mentors. Same with you, Ebony. So I think right here is an example of the solution is breaking those stereotypes, breaking that cycle, making it normal and okay for Black men to be emotional and to be in tap with their emotional and to talk to somebody.
Of course. And I also wanted to say, like, you guys giving us a position to speak on your podcast is like also just, it's healing for me. There's not a lot of Black men that I know that would be like, I'm going to give you a platform to talk, about whatever it is you want to talk about. And I think there's a lot of healing between Black men and Black women that has to be done. So I think that, like, thank you for even just giving us the opportunity to speak about what's important to us, because it does mean a lot, especially coming from you guys.
So I kind of sat back and just been listening the whole time.
Yeah, I know, Senator.
But the reason why I normally do that is just because I usually ended off with like the overtake of everything, like the thought process of everything. Coming through everything, we talked about the whole trauma, we talked about role models and stuff like that. I think one of the things that people need to recognize is that you don't need to be in a profession to be the role model. You have to be somebody that somebody can look up to. You got to be respectable enough for people to look up to you and try to. So there's people that are negative role models because that's the type of lifestyle that they choose to live. And then that's a lifestyle that they choose to promote. But you as an individual has that choice to either be positive or negative. So if you want to be a positive person, you may not, for example, like Coach, he says he doesn't like school, but he's still a positive role model to the athletes that he's working with, right? Like there's a huge impact that you can have on your culture, your neighborhood. It just on you to decide which type of impact you want to make on it. And we opening up this podcast for the Cure the Culture podcast to come on here. This is, as much as we can be appreciative of the fact of you guys coming on here, and you guys are appreciative of us giving you the platform to come on here, it is just a normalization of a conversation that people need to have.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And this is just showing that it doesn't have to be in person. This could be virtual. This could be, we saw the whole world shut down. I brought it up earlier, March 2020, the whole world shut down. Everyone had to find new methods to connect. Some people had the issues of feeling super isolated because they didn't know how to connect with other people. Zoom's profit went skyrocketing because of that. But we still had technology, which is our phone. The same way how people like to post on Instagram, you can still make a video call to somebody that you might connect with. So you can use it. All depends on how you decide to use things. So look at yourself, focus on your mental health. The only way that we can really improve a culture is by improving yourself. And the way how you got to do that is eating right, getting the help that you need, not being scared to get the help that you need, and admitting when there's times of weakness, because you are going to face those times of weakness and you may need to call somebody to help you out during those times. And check on your strong friends, because your strong friends are definitely ones that might need that contact.
Our backs get tired too, you know.
Oh, that's right.
Period.
So that was me kind of wrapping that part up, but I'm going to just throw out one quick question for you all, just outside of medical stuff, because we talked about a lot of medical and mental health stuff, right? there are people that are about to get married. There are people that are married. There are people that are in couples. There are
Ebony,
people that are
this is you.
singles.
It's a question for
We
you.
have a various range of relationship statuses on this podcast right now. But I want you guys to just imagine that everybody on this podcast is single. Would you ever do the show Love is Blind?
I don't even know what it is.
I don't. Yeah.
Hell no.
So the show Love is Blind, it's single men, single women that actually end up talking through pods. They don't actually see who they are. They date through pods. You don't know physically who they are. And the only way that you can connect with that,
It's their voice.
only way that you can see the person is after you say that you want to get engaged to that person. And then if they say yes, you see that person in thing, and then you actually start to live with the person. Would you do that?
Hell no. Hell no.
What?
Engaged?
What the hell is that?
I can see if we're talking about, okay, you go on a date after not seeing
That's
the
the date.
person.
It's the podcast. That's the date. You're
pod-
dating two
it's
conversations.
date-
And it's
honestly,
more than one
I
time.
would
You
never
can
do
go
this.
back and speak to this person.
You can go
like,
back and
as
see the
much-
same person as many times. If
You don't see them
Yeah.
physically, but you can have
Like,
as many
yeah.
That's
conversations.
the part
as
for
you
me
need.
that I'm like, no.
No. Ebony's very much about physical attraction. She
Hey,
needs to
ain't
cross
no
her
shame.
T's and dot her I's. She's like not playing.
Ain't no shame
Because
in
that'll
it.
be so awkward for you if when we see each other, I'm
Crazy.
like,
Nah, you ain't it,
yeah, that's
All
going to be very awkward.
All right.
bro.
So
what?
Eb is a no.
So no. So most people said no to that one.
No, I would do it.
You would
I
do it?
Nia, you
I'm-
do it?
I'm a true romantic.
Bro,
like
what?
I met my to ask Ebony, I met my husband
Yeah, you
24
did.
hours we were married. Like I'm a
Yeah.
true fuck. I've been with him for 3 years now.
No, wait, stop.
I'm a
stop,
true
time out,
romantic.
time out.
Hold
Wait,
up,
time
hold
out.
up, hold up.
Wait.
Yeah,
time
you're
out.
a 24-hour.
Wait, we're not gonna rush through
Podcast
that.
is ending.
Stop.
Unfortunately, you guys will
No,
have to bring
stop.
us back.
No,
to hear the rest
we're
of
not
this
rushing through this
story.
shit. Not at all. No,
You can
not
find
at all.
out more information about us
Wait a
at
minute.
www.curefortheculture.com.
So we are gonna get that point to promote, but I'm gonna ask you
No,
about
we're
one
not.
other show.
Yeah,
One
no,
other
we're
show.
not.
Would you?
Stop.
Would-
Stop.
He's
Wait,
like,
time
I
out.
wouldn't
Stop.
know.
Stop.
She just
24
sped
hours?
past that.
Yeah, we're not driving past.
That's not. It's not a shock to me. That's
Oh.
you're not the first person I heard that said that. And
When you know, you know.
24 hours.
yes,
When you know, you know. When
She
you know, you know.
really lived Love is Blind.
yeah.
So, they said, oh, they closed the border.
All right, so here we go. Last one. Would you?
Wait a minute.
Would you? So we already know Nia's answer to this next
12-hour
question.
engagement.
But
Go ahead,
everybody
go ahead,
else,
Senator.
everybody else, would you participate in Married at First Sight?
Yes, that's a fuck yes.
What's
I
the
did do it.
difference?
So Married at First Sight is you don't date the person. The first time you actually see them is at the altar, and then you get married.
Because I don't even know how much money they make. No. No.
So the paycheck, the salary is the only barrier. It's
Not the
salary.
only one.
For marriage,
They could be
yeah.
snoring in their sleep. They could be terrible at
We can have separate
conversation.
bedrooms. That's fine.
I don't know.
Lots of couples do that. Lots
They
of
can
couples
do
I
that
see
thing
do
where they
that.
scratch their throat every time they breathe. It's just some it's a variety of red flags.
Bro,
that could
what?
be
Scratch their throat.
You know that
Yo, what
thing?
you on?
He has a lot of
I
specific.
know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about.
Is that on your list? Like
What
when
the
you
fuck?
when you were
That's not a
dating
deal
your
breaker
person?
for me.
that scratchy throat. That, no, that,
That,
Yo,
I know what you're talking about.
What about the white stuff at the corner of the mouth that like?
No.
You know,
Oh, man. Oh man.
it's actually saliva getting dry. That's how it is. Yeah. But
Yo,
anyway.
what is going on?
So
What is
I'm
going
just gonna
on?
let you guys know there will be a part 2 with Cure the Culture. on that one there, we might not talk any medical mental health stuff. We are gonna deep dive into
Strictly
some
getting
other
into
stuff.
things.
24 hours.
We're
is
gonna get
24 minutes.
into Nia's 24-hour marriage.
Ebony
We're
was
gonna-
there.
we're
so
gonna
she has
get
to come on
into-
again.
there?
We're gonna find out Ebony's red flags and green flags. It is.
And pink flags. There are
And
pink
pink-
flags.
Green flags.
Wait a minute.
What is pink flag?
I'm
Yeah.
getting my
It's
eyes are
like-
like this right
There's
now.
pink flags.
Pink
There's
flag?
pink
What is a
flags
pink
when you're
flag?
like,
That's
oh,
yeah,
maybe
like someone
not.
that Yeah,
But
someone
it's
doesn't hang out with you
conditional.
only but on weekends. You know, that's a pink flag.
Give me
I
some
feel
more
like.
examples of pink flags. I know his
Coach, you're way too close to the camera right now.
That's a pink flag.
I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Pink
Because like I was annoyed by that whole conversation, and I want to continue the podcast. That's hilarious.
Pink flag.
What is the pink flag?
Pink flags are like not red flag. It's not like someone cheated on you. That's a red
Not
flag.
all the way. Well,
But a
no,
pink
that's a get
a
the
red
fuck
flag.
out.
Yeah, that's a red. Or like someone was
Yeah.
abusive to you. That's a red flag. You know,
Okay.
a pink flag is like whenever someone gets angry, they throw something. That's a pink flag. So you're not.
I think that's a red flag.
Yeah, that's a red flag.
Okay, or like a pink flag is like on the week you don't want to introduce me to like some of your friends, or you have a female friend that's always around. I think that's a pink flag.
Yeah, that's a pink flag.
It might be like
flag.
completely benign.
You might have grew up with her.
Yeah.
Right.
So
You have troll feet. You know.
So my
like-
question is, like, after you have distinguished this pink flag, what is your next step?
You got to keep an eye on it. Just
Gotta
like
turn it to
every
a
4 to
green.
6 months, you got to start writing down notes. Just like we're doing an algorithm for medicine. Every 1 to 2 months, I got to check
in.
Check
Yeah.
in.
log on pink flags.
Just put it on your calendar to follow up.
Am I meeting his parents or not? This is something I have to really, consider.
So yeah, we are
He doesn't
definitely
pick up the bill. Like that's
we
a
are
big flag.
definitely gonna do.
That's a red flag.
That's a red. If he doesn't pick up the bill
Yeah.
all the time.
all the time,
At least offer.
So
If you
even on the
don't at least
first date,
suppose he offers,
Especially on the first date.
Yeah, you
when he
better offer.
suppose he offers,
Hey,
but he
question.
lost his wallet.
No, wait.
Oh,
Better-
hey,
That's a pink
God.
flag. Why are you so
Better question,
disorganized?
What
That's
if
a
he
pink flag.
offers
Why are you
and his
disorganized?
card
Why are you losing
declines?
things?
His card declined.
That's a pink flag.
Black flag.
See, the way my checking and my savings works is
Yeah. That's a
Transfer it.
That's a burgundy flag.
not mahogany.
Yep.
Okay, okay. Seeing that you guys brought that up, here's the question. So suppose he offers to pay, right? And it goes through, but every time you are the one that's going to pay, it's you guys go to a more expensive restaurant. Is that
I
a
would
red
never
flag?
do that. That's a red flag.
You go on Red
that's a
Lobster
red
on your
flag.
dime.
Is that nice? Ebony,
No,
that's
there was a time. There was a time.
Honestly, listen, man.
know your
Go through
audience.
stages, man.
And,
Know
and
your
then they did all you could
audience.
eat
Know
shrimp,
the
and it
tax
just went
bracket of your
downhill.
audience. That's all I'm saying.
Sorry.
That's
sorry.
all I'm
I
saying.
meant STK. Okay, STK.
You go through stages. Man.
Moxie.
You gotta go through stages, man.
All right.
Ebony's still grimacing.
Yeah, because I'm just like, that's a red flag. That's so.
You take me to Red Lobster, that's a red flag.
Red flag. Flag of the
No, not even Red Lobster.
Disqualified.
To purposely take someone to a more expensive restaurant where you know you're not paying, that's a scrub.
That's rude.
You
I
don't
would
even do that
never
to your
that.
work friends.
No, don't do that to your family. Don't do that. Don't do that.
All right. So we've reached the part of the podcast where we get to promote our social medias and anything else that we're working on. So Cure the Culture, we're going to start with you, Eboni and Nia. Who wants to go first?
Well, we just got one.
We got
Yeah.
one. So we're going to do it together. If you guys want to find us and listen to our podcast, we do stick to mostly medical and psychological topics, but we talk about all things. So really come and join us. It's a really informational podcast. And like I said, you really need to know, just like you need to know, you know, the laws about when a cop pulls you over, you really need to know about medical topics because it's always applicable to you or someone in your family. So you could visit us. It is life or death. So visit us on our website at www.curefortheculture.com. You can email us directly if you know someone who you think might be interested in the show, or you have feedback, or you want to ask us a question at www.cureforculture@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter, and you can follow us on Instagram at Cure for Culture. And you can stream us on any podcasting site, for the most part, the relevant ones anyway: Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn. We try to get our episodes out two monthly. We always have a guest who's an expert in their field. But at the very least, we try to get an episode out every month.
Yes.
Okay. So thank you guys so much for joining us. And well,
thank you
actually,
for having us.
Well,
Yeah, you're doing our show. You're doing our show.
Podcast mode, real quick.
You got her professional
Like,
voice
share,
now.
subscribe.
It's my podcast now.
Look at me. Look at me.
Look at me.
I'm the podcast host now.
Coach.
Yeah, my IG is real deal _Francis. And you can just catch me in the gym. We're about to get started in the second half of the season. I'm traveling right now, so
dope.
Yeah, hopefully we're back in Toronto come March for nationals. Get that ring on my finger. So
yes, sir.
Fingers crossed. That's about it, man. Just like February and March is busy time for hoops right now. So
just trying to get March Madness.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get in.
Catch you in the gym, but not in the classroom, though.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely. Listen, hell no. Hell no.
That's okay. That's okay.
That's all good.
No.
Essay.
So my personal IG is at Pro Chatterbox, and my podcast with Joe, aka Berton Levy, Talks with the Chatterbox. That IG is Chatter Talks, and our website is www.chattertalks.tv.
There you go.
Dope.
And season 3 is on the way.
Radio voice
coming in a big way. Just letting y'all know.
There you go.
And we'll try to release before Kanye.
We'll see what happens with that shit.
That won't be hard.
And you can follow me on Instagram, on Twitter at The Senator. Don't forget to check out my Twitch page, twitch.tv/It's The Senator. I'm going to be DJing every Sunday night now. Also, don't forget to check out the Not So Soft podcast with myself, Nino Rockwell, Kino the Great. Episodes drop every Monday, so make sure to follow them at Not So Soft Pod. Don't forget to like, rate, subscribe, and share the Chatroom Podcast. Most importantly, leave a comment. That's a very important thing. Leave a comment. Also, don't forget to check out our Instagram page. Go follow it at the.chatroompod. And new episodes drop every Tuesday. So make sure you're tuned in. Go back and go check out that live episode too. Even though I wasn't there, it was still hilarious.
Yes.
But I think we did it. I think we got a really dope episode.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having
Part
us.
one.
That was fun.
Part one.
Really
That's a lot of fun.
Part one. Part 2 is going to be Ebony explaining red, pink, and
no. I got a question to ask about 24-hour stuff. I gotta get into this.
And yeah, Coach got to know about the 24-hour stuff.
Get into it.
And
you guys are good, eh? You guys leave us wanting more. Oh,
that's great. That's awesome.
Like it could be a girl, eh? Yeah.
And also, if we don't got all that master's degrees and stuff, but if you guys want a little hilarity,
I got a bachelor.
I got a paper.
Applied science.
I got a paper.
They said, "Don't take my credit away."
I'm saying all of us collectively.
Don't downplay my achievement.
Sorry, my bad. My bad. I forgot.
Either way, we're going to be doing a lot of talks about Black men coming up and about specifically stuff for health for you guys, and so we definitely would love to have you guys on for sure.
I think it'll be great content.
For sure. We'll definitely be there because this is a partnership that will just keep going. So this has been the Chatroom Podcast, your favorite baller's favorite podcast, and we are out.
Have a good day.
Peace.
Out of here.